Hello and welcome to a new video. Today we're going to take a look at a very strong line which I stole actually with the Serperior as well as the Dewgong. I kind of wanted to try out Serperior in the Great League as well, especially after the recent tournaments that was taking place in Spain, Barcelona, where this Pokemon looked so promising. And I was watching some battles of my brother, who was currently here in my place as well. So I saw someone running the exact same team that I'm using here right now in like high elos, like 2800s, and then just decided to copy it. I don't know who they were either, so like I cannot really give a shout out to them, but shout out to you if you see that. But definitely a cool line here. And I'm going to talk a little bit about how this line is functioning. I was a little bit confused in the beginning about it, but then it kind of went more clearer. I went on a great win streak with this team, even though I was kind of unlucky a lot of times as well and had some lag as well, which I think was just because of community day going on. But this team was amazing. I can highly recommend you to try that out, as you're going to get a shield here, a lucky shield with the aerial ace, which we were only able to reach. But we're going to have here the team, of course, of Serperior in the lead. We're going to have the Medicham in the back as well as our Dewgong. What you kind of want to do is you kind of want to play out any kind of neutral slash winning matchup with a lead. Like you see me a lot of times using something like an ABB line where you kind of have to swap out. This line is not like this. You're going to have a perfect core basically of Dewgong as well as the Medicham in the back, which is a really great together, and you kind of want to keep them together. So your lead is basically just to try to win as many lead matchups as possible, which is for Serperior an easy task because this Pokemon is just very good against a lot of Pokemon. If you go to PvP Poke, you win against like 90% of the Pokemon in the one-shield scenario, which is kind of wild. At least you're going to get those results if you go to the Team Builder tool and you see like only a few Pokemon you're going to lose to, and those Pokemon, for those matchups, it's fairly close as well. For example here, this is one of those. Pelipper is of course a flying type Pokemon, which you don't really want to face as a grass type, but take a look at this matchup here. We're going to be able to call the bait first, and now we're gonna get the opponent to swap out, as we're going to have now the Medicham against the Registeel. And here's something that I would actually recommend you to change. I actually would go for Dynamic Punch most likely, or Power Punch on the Medicham, depending on what you like more, because I felt for this team to change some stuff around, I would have liked to have more damaging power from my Medicham against potential Steel-type Pokemon, stuff like this, because as you can see here, those matchups can be a little bit daunting and you always have to use kind of a shield. So Registeel is not really the easiest matchup to deal with for this team, unless you would run something like Dynamic Punch. And of course, I didn't really know the moveset that they were running from who I stole the team from, because I didn't really see it during the game either. So I would imagine that something like a Power Punch would be better than Psychic for this team. So it might be something to keep in mind or like think about. Of course, going to make the matchup against other Medichams a little bit more awkward, which I do understand as well. But still, this team was a lot of fun to play, and you're going to see me right now trying to catch the move, which does not work out, but it doesn't matter, because with the debuff of Dewgong, we're going to be able to just go for a Frenzy Plant here, and this is going to be amazing, as we can now just win this game, and we can move on to the next one. Maintain in the lead. This is going to be a very bad matchup for you. You're always going to lose in every shield scenario, so the best bet here for you at least is to try to get the opponent low enough later on at least that you can just go for one Icy Wind in order to knock them out. So what I would go here for is I would try to go for the Aerial Ace next, so you're actually going to be able to see Impeta here, which is lucky the opponent already had the Aerial Ace before, but I think they just didn't realize I would get to my move a little bit earlier, and I'm just going to take the shield advantage here. If the opponent throws earlier, I might actually would invest a shield into that, because I would be able to get the opponent a little bit lower, getting them a little bit easier into farm down range for Dewgong then. But here, I will be able to counter the opponent's Alone Sandslash with my Medicham, as we can go for the full farm down, and the opponent had already enough, knowing that they're going to lose Spell with their back line most likely. We were able to take this one home. Next matchup is going to be one of the most interesting ones, because this one flipped kinda in a better favor even for you with the Sableye matchup. The thing is, if the opponent lets the first move go through, you're always going to be able to just outspeed them with the Aerial Ace. Here, the opponent going to decide to shield this move up, which is fine for them. But the cool thing here for you is you're always going to be able to win this as a Serperior. There's no way that the opponent is going to be able to flip this matchup for them, so you can realign your Pokemon, and your backline is basically perfect together. So this is going to be so nice to play here. We won't see the Lickitung swapping in though, great catch by the opponent. But of course we can retaliate now with our Medicham, trying to go for a full farm down here, which I'm not sure if it's going to work out. I don't think it does work out here, but I will be able to still go ahead and go for an Ice Punch here and have an Ice Punch stored for the incoming Sableye, which is going to be very decent for me here. As we will see, Lickitung going down, Sableye most likely coming back in. They have a move start on the Sableye, but I think they're going to try to go for the full farm down against me, which of course is a smart decision, because I'm not going to be able to do enough damage here, but they're going to swap out now into the Registeel. And this is going to be basically an impossible matchup. They got a lot of energy here, so they're going to get to the Zapkin in time, which is really awkward for me, as they're going to be able to get, of course, the attack drop here, 66% chance. Of course, it's more likely to get it, so it's totally fine that we got it here immediately, but we see already the dry run is not going to do enough damage, but we're able to catch the charge move here onto our Serperior. Zapkin going to get the knockout, and we can just go for a drill run against the opponent, which is not going to get the knockout yet because of the debuff before. Like 2 drill runs usually would be enough, but with the debuff before on the first drill run, we were not going to be able to do enough damage here. 1 Ice Wind is coming through, and now it depends if we can survive 2 charge moves from the opponent. Foul play coming through, but they actually don't even have the second one, and our Dewgong was able to flip this matchup. But for every team, there's also some hard counters that you're going to encounter. Horrible lead for me, horrible say swap for me. There are going to be always teams that are going to be able to beat yours. Here, we're going to have literally 0 chance at all during the entire game, which you're going to see, which is something that I also kind of want to include here because, yeah, A, this is someone from my factions team as well, which is kind of funny, so shoutouts to you. But B, yeah, this is something that you're going to encounter with every team. There's not a single team around where you have a play against every other team. It's just not possible. Every Pokemon has a hard counter, and if you're going to line every hard counter against each other, as you can see here, there's going to be no way for you to win this game. So, next opponent, we're going to see a Lantern here. And I think this game was actually a little bit awkward. Yes, exactly, I remember this one. But I kind of want to show those kind of awkward games as well a little bit. So, here we're going to see the Seed Bomb coming in from the Treven. So far, so good. We're going to be definitely guaranteed to realign our Pokemon here. But my opponent makes actually a very great play, which of course I didn't know that they would be able to do this play, because I didn't know their final Pokemon. But they set me up perfectly here. Of course, also a very lucky matchup later on for the opponent, which you're going to see, but I'm going to be able to basically completely realign here. The opponent going to get another shield from me. I don't really want to have, I kind of want to have, of course, the Lantern against my Serperior. I feel like this is the best play that I can go for. I can even get to a drill run here and get them lower. So far, I was like thinking I was in the commanding position. But as you can see here, this team struggles a little bit against fire and flying type Pokemon, but even especially the Talonflame. I would have been able to most likely still get to Psychic against something like a Shadow Charizard there, but against the Talonflame, there was no shot to get anywhere with the Brave Bird coming through, and like this, there is not a lot that I can do about it, as Aerial Ace is still pretty much a garbage move in terms of the damage output. Now it's at least a fast garbage move, so yeah, like it is not going to do enough. Of course, now we're going to be able to knock them out, but they're still going to have the Lantern in the back. So while I was winning the lead and winning the final, like the say swap there as well, kinda, we just were not able to align our Pokemon at the end there, because they had the perfect core breaker between Serperior and our Flying type Medicham, which is just something that happens. But here my opponent decides to already forfeit for this next game, which is kind of funny. So we have some fast games here, like so many people forfeited. As you can take a look at the next game, you're going to see a Granbull against us. Hopefully it's not again a triple charm team, but you actually haven't seen the video where I'm talking about right now. There, I had definitely a video already made where I encountered a triple charm team in like higher elo ranges, which I was like, thanks man, like why do you play this? It's so annoying to play against. But here we're going to be able to get a double shield advantage, which is something that I like to have as well, as we can now go for a full farm down with our Dewgong. But they decide to swap out into the Diggersby, allowing me to go for 1 Icy Wind. But I kind of want to keep my Dewgong alive while getting energy onto my Medicham, so I'm going to let this move go through. I can just overfarm a little bit here, I think, as well. Just going to try to get to another charge move here and then just swap out to my Medicham, which can just get up some energy. Because 1 Ice Punch is enough to knock out the Granbull, we should be pretty fine here, as we are going to be able to go for the full farm down. The opponent going to swap in now, most likely into the Granbull and then swap out or something. They're going to go, they're actually going to do the opposite. They're going to go first in the Swampert and then swap out into the Granbull, catching the charge move here of Ice Punch, which does not really matter. I can shield this move up as well if I want to, which I'm going to do here as well, as I can take the Hydro Cannon here with that shield. I will be able to go for the Psychic. That's going to get them low enough that I can just go for my Dewgong, go for the Icy Wind, and win this game. I could have played it a little bit safer and just stayed in with my Medicham, but like, yeah, like there was nothing that the opponent can really do here anyway. As he can move on to the next game, another Mantine in the lead. Again, horrible lead for us, we're going to lose this all the time, but you can still go for one Frenzy Plant here first, which is going to do some very good damage against them. And maybe they are messing up again, and they definitely do mess up again, because I got the extra free fast move in here, which allows me to get to an aerial ace before the opponent gets to the next charge move. So like this, I'm going to force another shield from the opponent, and also, sadly they can actually farm me down, so that's not really ideal. They're going to have a Surf Edge in the back, and I'm fearing something here right now. The likelihood of them having another fighting type Pokemon in the back is very, very high, I have to say. So I would expect that they're going to have something like a Medicham in the back, a Toxicroak in the back, something like this, which is going to be really bad for us, like literally nearly impossible to play if this is the case, because here we're going to encounter, of course, still the Mantine, which is going to be also kind of core breaker for both Medicham as well as the Serperior, being double weak to the grass type Pokemon, of course, but as you can see, they're actually going to have a fighting type in the back. It's going to be the Chestnut, which is most likely one of the best fighting types I could encounter, but they're still going to outspeed me to the Frenzy Plant. I can go for an Icy Wind, which is going to be nice. It's going to get the shield and the... Oh, not the shield, actually. They're going to let this move go through, but the debuff. And no, they can still go for another Frenzy Plant here. But no, they're actually going to go for the Superpower, and they still don't survive. Even though it's resisted, as well as debuffed, the Superpower was still enough to knock me out. It's just kind of annoying there. Of course, this was kind of a bad team comp. I had like a Mantine against my lead, which is going to lose against it, as well as my Mage. I'm going to lose against it, but also my opponent played it really well by swapping out into the Surf Edge. Was a great play by them. Next game coming up, we're going to have, the Medicham against us. We were able to get them a little bit lower, which I kind of wanted to have. So like this, the opponent is going to be in range for just one Psychic from my own Medicham, while I have also a little bit of an energy lead here now for the opponent. So like they're going to always lose this matchup. Like there's nothing that they can do about it. They're just going to commit their Medicham for this matchup, as I can now take this next charge move from the opponent, going to be a Power Whip. They had to go for the Power Whip, otherwise I would have still been able to survive this move and get to another charge move. And we're going to see, of course, another core breaker for this team here with the Toxicroak. Toxicroak is really awkward to play with here for me, as I can still try to go for an Icy Wind, but it's just not really ideal. I'm going to let this move go through. I still survive, which is amazing, but there I can still get to another charge move. But for me, this is totally fine. I can just go for another Icy Wind here, and I'm fairly certain they're kind of energy dry right now, so I'm going to swap out into my Serperior, and I will be able to go for the Aerial Ace, but not before the opponent gets to another move. I call this as the bait, because I don't think they had enough energy, and I don't think they had, so we will be able to get the knockout here, and also win this game, as the opponent's Lickitung has nowhere to go. I can just go for the charge move, but the opponent decides to even forfeit prior. So, good game there to the opponent. Let's take a look at the second to last game for today. It's going to be a Lickitung in the lead. You're going to be able to always win this scenario in the two-shield scenario there, because you're going to outspeed the opponent, and two Frenzy Plants is going to be enough to knock out the opponent, which is really cool, as you can see here as well. So, like this, we are going to be able to realign guaranteed, which is amazing for this line. That's exactly what you kind of want to have with this line. And we will see here another Frenzy Plant coming through. The opponent is going to let this move go through, and yeah, I can still take the Body Slam from the opponent here. So we're actually always going to be able to win this in any shield scenario, which is nice. But sadly, the opponent is going to have a Charizard in the back. Again, this is like kind of one of the more awkward Pokemon to deal with. And as you can see here right now, the opponent is going to get the Dragon Claw bait done here correctly, which is kind of sad. I have to go for the Icy Wind, which they're going to shield up, and they're going to have a Sableye in the back. And literally, the backline is impossible for me to play with. Like, my Medicham has nowhere to go. I try to catch a move here or something, but it is literally impossible at this point. There is not a lot that I can do about this team comp, and this is like something that you have to accept as well. Like, there's just some teams that you're not going to be able to beat, and this player definitely does not appreciate the what's called the Medicham at all. Even the lead of Lickitung is going to be able to beat Medicham in, I think, the 0 and 2 shield scenario, so that's kind of sad. Here we're just going to forfeit, as the opponent is going to be able to win this game for sure. Next opponent, here's again the reason why I would like to have Dynamic Punch on my Medicham for this kind of team, or like Power Punch as well would work out well. But I think Dynamic Punch is a little bit safer, because you should be able to win this in the 0 shield scenario without having to use any shield, which is definitely a beneficial thing here, as we of course always gonna get the debuff from the Zepcan. I think I didn't get a single non-debuff here, which is kind of awkward because now it takes so long to get to the full farm down, but at least I have a ton of energy now for the incoming Medicham from the opponent, as I will be able to go for a Psychic here. And look at this, I finally have some luck as well. With a Psychic, it's going to get the defense drop against the opponent, which literally doesn't matter really. I mean, okay, we can still go for the Ice Punch. This is going to be so much better now, doing next to no damage still. But I will be able to catch an Ice Punch here onto my Dewgong, which is going to be amazing for me. I have a shield disadvantage, so I don't really want to use it. And of course, my opponent is running Dynamic Punch on their own Pokemon, as they're going to see a Quaxwell in the bag. This Pokemon was actually a lot of fun. You maybe saw already the video on my channel about this thing. This thing is actually really cool as a Sasop especially, because you can bait out potential answers for it, because you have Wing Attack plus Aerial Ace on a Water type Pokemon, which is just really, really interesting. And here we see them actually running this in higher up Elo, which is kind of funny. But we can take advantage of this. We can use a shield here, and I'm gonna go for the full farm down. This is my best bet here, to just try to farm them all the way down, as I should be able to reach 2 Aerial Aces for the Medicham here. I can go for the first one. This is going to get the shield. I can go for another one. This is going to get the knockout, and I think I just barely going to survive another Wing Attack from the Quaxwell. It's not stab, and we will be able to win this game. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, feel free to leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already. Check out the video on the screen, and I'll see you then. Bye bye.